闘がどんなもんか試して。
The anime begins with a massive dragon appearing before a masked hero. The princess tells him, "Finally, you've defeated the Lord of Darkness." The dragon starts to wreak havoc, but the superhero, named Sanraku, takes action and defeats it. The princess thanks him and says, "Thanks to you, Sanraku, you've saved me." It was a long and incredibly challenging journey, wasn't it? Sanraku responds, "Yes, it was indeed. I've been waiting a long time for this moment, my dear Princess Vieria." He then leaps away, telling her, "Now you can go to hell with the Lord of Darkness," and kicks her forcefully in the face. In reality, our superhero celebrates the successful completion of the game, saying, "I finally got my revenge for what you made me do." In this era, 3D games and virtual reality games have become more immersive in the gaming world, known as the simulation environment. However, many games in this category fall short in terms of graphics technology, earning them the title of trash games. Our hero, Sanraku, seems to enjoy playing such games. This boy is named Rakuro, and he has just completed this game, feeling a great sense of freedom. This is what those sentenced to serve their time feel after completing their sentence. Well, now, what new game should I try next? Rakuro considers himself a connoisseur of garbage games. The next morning, Rakuro goes to school feeling sleepy and strolling around the classroom. We find a girl who wants to talk to him and waits to express her admiration for him. When she starts talking to him, his friend arrives and talks to him, making it impossible for him to pay attention to her. They start conversing, leaving her behind. After a moment, she decides to approach him again. Later, we find this girl named Mana, who owns a game shop called Rock and Roll. She puts a sticker on Rakuro's bag and says that summer vacation will start tomorrow. She bets that this sticker and the new game will attract some customers. Afterwards, Rei, the girl we talked about earlier, goes to Mana while on her way from practice. She starts looking for the boy she had a crush on, but she tells her that he hasn't shown up today either. Rei says, "No, I just came to check out the games." Mana replies, "I know you better than that. You're much luckier than you pretend to be, young and in love." Rei explains that he's been trying to finish some of the trash games lately, so he hasn't been around for a while. Then she shows him the latest game she bought, telling him it might take him a while to finish it. She mentions that it has AI companions and enemy attack patterns that are ridiculously easy, and she chose a difficulty level higher than anyone can imagine. She's heard that it requires high-level skills to defeat the final boss. This leads to many players throwing their headphones in frustration. To top it off, to defeat the final boss, you have to wear swim trunks and a mask, which puzzles Rei. She speculates that it might have something to do with effectiveness or youth or something like that. Then she asks Rei if she's made any progress in her studies. As she responds, the handsome guy she had been looking for arrives, knocking on the door and asking, "Do you have any new game releases, Mana-san?" She comments on how much time has passed and how she's no longer infatuated. He asks if she finished the last game so quickly, and she replies that she did because it was just trash. She mentions that the main heroine was the biggest trash in it. The girl who had been infatuated with him listens from behind, still enamored with his words. He continues, saying that the problem with the game was the princess. She made everything worse, killing villagers and group members without facing any consequences. He also mentions that she seemed to be aware of all the events happening in the game and would get angry if you showed her any disrespect. It would take her 3 whole hours to reconcile with her. Rei interrupts and says that she's surprised he didn't give up. He explains that in those 3 minutes between defeating the final boss and finishing the game, it was like a cinematic scene where you could beat Vieria to a pulp without any fear of retaliation. It was absurdly amusing, and it made those 3 minutes worthwhile. She says she's glad he enjoyed the game, and the infatuated girl continues to listen to him intently. At this point, Mana suggests to him, "Why don't you try something other than trash games? Why not try this VR game that's designed to please the audience from time to time?" She winks at the girl who's still listening. Our hero is now excited about the new game and takes it home. At home, he begins to analyze the game, noting that it was released in the spring of the past year and broke a Guinness World Record for the number of player logins. He describes the game's concept as an alien colonization fleet that arrives from space, with the twist that they don't die but leave behind a new society after thousands of years. Players live their lives in this virtual world, with levels of technology ranging from the Middle Ages to advanced science fiction elements. This game is so beloved that the few who dislike it are overshadowed by tens of thousands of fans. Our hero eagerly starts up the game, immersing himself in this legendary virtual world. He prepares himself, putting on his headphones and saying, "How long has it been since I played a game like this?" Our hero begins to play this thrilling legendary game, excited about what awaits him in the upcoming exciting events. He immerses himself in this virtual world filled with adventures and challenges. And we are eager to see what unfolds next. Don't forget to like and activate the notification bell if you want to stay updated and support me even more. Let's continue with the episode. Then our hero proceeds to enter the game. However, he must choose his character class first. He selects the role of a mercenary named Sevan, a wandering swordsman with remarkable talent. Sevan's unique ability is his slow but steady bodybuilding process, gaining many enhancements over time. Luck plays a significant role in Sevan's abilities, affecting critical hit chances and item drops in the game, making it the perfect choice for Rikuro. Next, Rikuro customizes his character, choosing ethnicity, body type, color, and hair length. Rikuro is incredibly enthusiastic about this thrilling game. In the end, he chooses a powerful, muscular body with a comically oversized bird-like head, a character that doesn't enjoy humor but ignores armor for the best possible weapons. This game allows you to sell your starting equipment during character creation, potentially earning a substantial profit, about 3 times the base item price. With his character created, Rikuro hides his face and starts the game. Everything is now ready. As he lies on his bed, he begins to describe the game's setting. In ancient times, there were some mighty and powerful kings who ventured into another world and disappeared completely since then. We are the descendants of these kings. The scene transitions to Rikuro within the game, standing in a vast forest with bright sunshine and beautiful weather. He looks at his giant hands, and the movements are eerily lifelike, allowing him to run, climb trees, and reach high points effortlessly, resembling Tarzan. He gazes at the world from a mountaintop. Rikuro then checks his map to pinpoint his exact location. He plans to head east to the Wildwood and, in the west, there's the city of Freestia, a few kilometers away. As he prepares to move, suddenly, a goblin from the goblin race ambushes him with full force. Rikuro narrowly avoids the attack, demonstrating his quick reflexes. At this moment, Rikuro summons his cutting sword and decides to engage in combat with the goblin. The monster attempts to strike him in the neck, but Rikuro intercepts with his sword, splitting the goblin into 2 halves. The goblin disappears, leaving only its sword behind. Rikuro is delighted because he managed to defeat the goblin in a single strike. The goblin was just a weak early game enemy. Rikuro's level increases to level 2, and he takes the goblin's sword as his own, even though he knows it won't last long due to its durability. Then, after that, he feels something behind the trees moving quickly. Raka turns to look at it, thinking about the weaknesses of monsters and patterns, and how to throw his tools. This feeling comes to him in any game he plays, and now he's in the first-person game. At this moment, the deadly rabbit emerges and tries to attack Raka, but he manages to dodge the strike and throws the rabbit away. However, he reads on his assessment screen that if he is hit by a single strike from this rabbit, he will die. So, he decides to gather his strength to kill it before it can do anything to him. Rakaru keeps delivering blows, but this rabbit remains unaffected by them. He understands that a single vital strike won't work against it. He decides to deliver his most powerful blow, and indeed, after that, he manages to kill the rabbit. Rakaru is thrilled with himself once again because he was able to kill the second monster, and thus, his level increases from 2 to 4. Rakaru continues to search for this rabbit's weapon, as he is certain that it is extremely powerful. However, he finds nothing, but he notices on his assessment screen that he can learn different skills through specific actions. He has gained a new skill, which is blocking and counter-flashing. Rakuru is very happy with this game and says to himself that since the player's skill enhances evasion and blocking skills, he can now fight enemies at a higher level as well. This makes him want to try out various fighting styles. Then, he is amazed that he has been playing without encountering any programming errors so far. Unlike other games where he often found many bugs, he is increasingly impressed because he has finally found a game without any errors. He is confident that he will enjoy it. At this point, he decides to go in search of a powerful kitchen knife that the strong rabbit might have. Afterward, we move him to another location in the forest, where he finds a somewhat massive monster. He rushes towards it to kill it, and indeed, he manages to do so, raising his level to level 12. Now, he must allocate his points. He had been hoping to encounter a deadly rabbit again to further increase his level. This monster is exceptionally rare, as it took him a long time to obtain a matching set of knives. Since he defeated about 50 of these rabbits, it's expected that he will become much stronger. He looks at the knife with great joy. It's extremely rare and has better stats than the dual mercenary blades. He must take good care of it. He also gained some new skills, with the most useful one being the spiral penetration skill. When Rakuru finishes with this, he decides to leave this forest because its monsters are very weak. He wants to level up by facing stronger monsters elsewhere. He opens his special screen and realizes that he has drifted far from the primitive village. However, he is now closer to the friendly town of Sekindal. He needs to cross the bridge over the valley to get there.
The episode begins with this massive knight-like character, and everyone in the village looks at them in amazement. They comment that this character is a symbol and is from a clan known for its achievements. However, they wonder what someone like this is doing in their small, remote village. The character, who appears to be a girl embodying the personality of this knight, starts speaking. She mentions hearing that Haitsutomi gives all his characters the same name, so she believes she'll be able to find him since it's impossible for a new player not to arrive in their village. Then, the girl wakes up, removes her gaming headset, and laments that she might have missed the person she was looking for and feels sad about it. Next in this scene, we find Rakuro battling the giant snake. He starts by summoning his sword and says, "Let me enjoy this." He begins to attack the giant snake, dodging its attacks, and mentions that they should observe the snake's movement pattern to defeat it. He starts charging his energy to become faster and better able to evade the snake's attacks. He thinks to himself that he's still a leader for beginners, and believes he can defeat the snake without taking any hits. However, to his surprise, his sword shatters after the first strike against the snake's tough skin. He then decides to summon powerful rabbit knives, saying that he has something he wants to try. He starts attacking the snake with the knives, but the snake spits venom at him, sending him flying far away. He realizes he's taking damage every 10 seconds due to the venom. Rakuro believes he might have underestimated the monster, but decides it's time to get serious. He mentions defeating much weaker game foes and that the snake is nothing to him. He begins to deflect all of the snake's attacks and mentions that the venom inflicts 1 damage every 10 seconds. He calculates that he has only 4 minutes left to defeat the monster and knows he needs a reliable way to deal significant damage at the right moment. He notes that powerful attacks in the game don't activate randomly. They seem to occur when he attacks perfectly or hits the enemy's weak point. The weak point is covered by tough scales, making it difficult to hit, but he decides to create a weak point himself. Rakuro charges his dagger with lightning and starts penetrating the snake's skin. He successfully pierces the skin and exclaims that he'll deliver more blows to the same spot. He begins to attack the snake where he pierced it, causing the snake visible pain. Then he launches an attack on the dragon, 1 blow after another. But he doesn't know how many points this big dragon has. He leaps upwards with great hope of defeating this huge snake, speaking to himself that he can defeat this powerful thing without receiving any harm. And it's just a game. He won't die even if he is defeated. But at this moment, the snake swallows him. However, Senrako was very strong and managed to open the snake's mouth and escape. After that, he uses the anti-flash ability to deliver a powerful blow to the snake. At this time, he summons another sharp tool from his inventory and strikes the snake with a decisive blow, finally managing to defeat it after a fierce battle. His level rises to level 14, and he is very happy that he has defeated the snake. Then he finds some loot dropped by the snake, including snake scales and white snake hair. He realizes he can sell these items in the market and make a lot of money. When Senrako looks at the remaining time, he sees that time is running out. He is surprised that such a large snake of this size didn't leave any other loot except 2 things. He keeps looking left and right, then uses a screen to check his points. After that, we see him running across a bridge, speaking to himself that he must buy a ticket when he arrives in the town. However, the big problem is that he doesn't know the shops and locations in the town, and this will require a lot of time. Senrako runs quickly but is very angry, shouting at the top of his voice, saying, "Ah!" Then the scene shifts to this girl named Maya, and her friend Reggie is talking to her about taming monsters, specifically dogs, because Maya loves dogs a lot, and she is only allowed to tame pets. She pleads with Reggie to help her in this matter. At that time, the boy is surprised and very happy, speaking to himself that finally, after 3 months of trying, Maya is starting to play Shanfaro with him. Signs of excitement appear on his face as he talks to himself because he doesn't want to miss this great opportunity. Maya is puzzled by this, and when she asks him what's wrong, he turns to her and tells her that he's having a minor heart attack, but it's nothing serious. He then tells her not to use his real name because it's one of the game's rules not to use real names. She apologizes to him and tells him that she won't call him by his real name anymore, only by the name Reggie. After a while, both of them turned around and found Senrako running towards them at a great speed. At this moment, Maya thought a monster was approaching, and when she took out her bow and aimed it, Reggie told her to hold on, as it seems he is one of the players in the game. According to the rules of the game, if you kill a player or a character in the game, your fate will end up with a skull next to your name, and you will be banned from the game. When she asked him why he was running in this strange way, Reggie told her that he believed he was poisoned by the snake's venom. Then he called out to him and told him to hurry and pointed towards the white building at the end of the street. Reggie explained to his friend that he had encountered many cases like this, especially when they first started playing the game. Players who were poisoned by the snake had to reach the town in time. Finally, Senrako reaches the building and wants to spend a full night there so he can recover his main points. However, he gets very agitated with the receptionist and shouts at her loudly, demanding a bed to sleep in right away. He bangs his hand on the desk multiple times because he only has 1 life point left, so he must sleep now to regain his points. The receptionist tells him to go to room 102, and Senrako rushes there, breaking the door, and jumps onto the bed. At this time, his points start to replenish, but he can't celebrate because he lost the last point and dies immediately. He exits the game and is very happy with this beautiful game. He remembers the advice given to him in the game, especially by Reggie, and he wants to thank him again for the guidance. The scene then shifts to the town of Skandil, a beautiful city in the pre-swamp area. Senrako strolls around the city looking left and right, but he will need a map so he doesn't get lost. He also needs recovery items and new equipment, and he's looking for a powerful main weapon to replace his dual-bladed scythe. He wants to make the most of his effort in this exciting game and reach the top player rankings. At this time, people are looking at him with astonishment and ask who this half-naked bird-like man is. Suddenly, people mock him because he looks like he's naked and has a very frightening appearance. So he decides to buy some clothes first. He goes to a store and wants to buy the cheapest thing they have because his budget is limited. He wears these clothes for defense and to stop other players from treating him like a weirdo. After that, he sees a mask that comes with the outfit, but he decides not to wear it. Then he tries to sell the goblin's hand axe, but the shopkeeper makes fun of this item, considering it worthless. He tells Senrako that if he wants something better, he'll have to craft it himself and bring the materials. Senrako agrees and heads straight to the troubled swamp. a desolate area with a place for mining raw materials. However, when he arrives, he has no luck finding any valuable minerals despite digging for a while. He's frustrated because he needs 5 or 6 pieces to craft a new and good weapon, and he has only managed to find 2 pieces so far. Moreover, the swamp terrain makes it difficult to move around, and the heavy pickaxe he bought for mining is making things even more challenging. Suddenly, a frog appears and jumps next to him. The mud splatters all over his clothes, and the frog doesn't stop there. It deliberately makes the mud come onto his clothes. This infuriates him, and he strikes the frog with his pickaxe, delivering a powerful blow that hits it. The frog is injured and falls to the ground on its back. Senrako approaches to finish it off, but moving in the mud is exhausting and tiring. He informs us that his leather skin armor is made from the hide of a single frog and has high resistance, so it's likely that cutting attacks won't work on this frog. His only options are striking and stabbing attacks. He then uses his goblin's hand axe, which has a sharp blade, and delivers a blow with all his might as it connects with the frog. Suddenly, he becomes very annoyed by the length of this journey because he can't walk naturally in this swamp. The swamp significantly slows down the player's movements, and indeed he goes to that frog. Confident that it can't get up from its back, he strikes it instantly, killing it and obtaining the hide of a single frog effortlessly. Senrako then continues to gather materials, and more players start arriving at the location. With the start of the summer break, it seems that the resource race is just a matter of time. They all need to mine and strike with their pickaxes to extract minerals before nightfall. He manages to collect all the required materials, and he goes back to the merchant and hands them over. The merchant is overjoyed and amazed that he obtained all these materials in just 3 hours. He informs Senrako that it's enough to craft something very good. The blacksmith opens the list to show him which weapon he can craft from these stones. Senrako is impressed when he sees the troubled dagger on the list and decides to take it. He asks the merchant to give him 2 of them, and the blacksmith starts crafting them. Then Senrako leaves the store and explores the market. He enters a tool shop to buy some equipment. Meanwhile, the blacksmith finishes crafting the daggers, and Senrako returns to collect them. He's amazed by the high-quality weapons, and they are ideal for his playstyle, as they temporarily reduce an opponent's durability after dealing significant damage. The blacksmith tells him that he needs to be diligent in finding and bringing more materials because weapon raising is also part of his work. Senrako doesn't fully understand what he means by weapon raising, but the merchant explains that users of shape-shifting magic like him can do more than just crafting weapons. They can upgrade them too. Weapons are like their children to blacksmiths, so they prefer to use the term raising instead of the harsher concept of upgrading. Senrako understands his words, but is surprised because this person is talking to him as if he were a real person and not part of a game. He wonders how artificial intelligence can behave in such a way. After the blacksmith's warning about the dangerous nighttime monsters, Senrako decides not to leave town with the armor. He thanks the blacksmith and bids him farewell, eager to use his new troubled daggers to combat the deadly nocturnal creatures. In the night, we see Ri, the giant snake, still searching for Senrako throughout the entire town. Just as Senrako appears, battling the goblin, it attacks him. Senrako manages to fend off the goblin's attacks using his newly acquired skills. In the midst of the battle, Senrako recalls what he has learned about monster spawns during the day and night. Most nocturnal monsters tend to be aggressive and powerful. His training has helped him level up and learn new skills, but this particular monster seems exceptionally strong, even beyond his capabilities. Senrako continues to evade the goblin's attacks using his sword skillfully. He is amazed by his own strength, having accumulated numerous life points and developed a combat style that incorporates various tactics and evasive maneuvers. As more goblins join the fray, Senrako realizes that these numbers are overwhelming. He contemplates making a quick escape, but is surrounded by goblins from all directions. Inwardly, he reflects on how he underestimated the game and used to enjoy it, thinking that first-class games like Shangri-La Frontier were not bad at all. He reminisces about facing Shangri-La Frontier in the actual game. Suddenly, a unique and colossal monster known as Lycaon, the Night Killer, appears. Senrako is struck with fear, especially after recalling a previous scene where Lycaon effortlessly shattered a boulder with tremendous force.
The episode of this exciting anime begins with a girl playing a beautiful game, and now she's inside the game. They were talking about the player Sanraku, and a large mechanized character was interrogating them. When Mia pulled out her weapon and aimed it at the mechanized character, her friend warned her not to do that because it's not a monster but another player. However, she's quite intimidating. Then the character asks them about the player Sanraku and his whereabouts, but they inform her that he was poisoned by snake venom and headed towards Sikandil. He was nearly naked with a bird's head. The player thanks them for this valuable information and gives them a gift. Afterward, she leaves the place, possessing tremendous power. Maya and her friend are very surprised by the speed of this player, who is faster than lightning. However, they don't know her identity, but they notice the emblem on her cloak, suggesting that she might belong to a clan that focuses on hunting the unique monsters known as the Lycaon Night Killers. These unique monsters are a special category with individual names and titles, and when most monsters are defeated or captured, they respawn as new entities after a certain period. However, for the unique monsters, there is only one of each in the entire world, and rumor suggests that there are 7 in Chanvaro. Still, the criteria for the emergence of most of these unique monsters, referred to as giants, remain unknown. They have become the target of top players aiming to eliminate them. It's been a year since the game began, and no unique monster has been defeated so far. The scene then shifts to Sanraku as he battles one of the largest monsters. When he evaluates the situation, he realizes that it's a unique monster known as Lycaon, the Night Killer. Can Sanraku defeat this unique monster and break the game's rule that no unique monster has been defeated thus far? At this moment, Sanraku recalls some of the heroes who fought a monster like this but were quickly defeated. He anticipates that his encounter with this unique monster might end with a single blow. At this moment, the giant monster launches an attack on Sanraku, delivering powerful blows with its massive hands. However, Sanraku manages to deflect them with his immense strength. He begins to counterattack, landing blow after blow on the monster, then leaping into the air and striking again. Sanraku is visibly exhausted, but he knows that this monster is not invulnerable, and he can defeat it. He has spent the entire night reinforcing his incredible strength and mastering the skill of perfect evasion when the monster attacks. At this point, the monster launches another assault, destroying the ground beneath Sanraku. However, Sanraku utilizes his full power, and both of his feet glow as he charges at the monster once more, cutting off its left leg. The monster attempts to attack again but is powerless. It disappears, leaving Sanraku perplexed as he looks left and right, waiting for the giant monster to reappear. Moments later, the monster reappears behind Sanraku and attempts to strike, but Sanraku anticipates the attacks and evades them easily. He then jumps back into action, but the battle ultimately ends in a draw. Sanraku stands, catching his breath, as he has been fighting for more than 10 minutes, and he has received over 200 blows. Yet, he remains as tough as steel. He now contemplates finding the monster's weak point so he can launch a successful attack. With all his strength, Sanraku charges towards the monster, filled with excitement to battle one of the most formidable monsters in the world of Shangri-La Frontier. The adrenaline rushes through him, making him feel like he's on fire. He launches a powerful assault on the monster, delivering numerous quick and forceful blows. Despite being a player who ended up in the lowest ranks of the game, he will not give up. He knows that the monster lacks a vulnerable hitbox, but he won't back down. Suddenly, the monster roars in a terrifying manner, surprising Sanraku as it immobilizes him and prevents him from moving. Then, the monster disappears, leaving Sanraku bewildered. It reappears and quickly severs Sanraku's legs, leaving him unable to comprehend what just happened. He falls to the ground, believing that he won't learn any incredible new skills and hoping for a mysterious high-level player to come to his rescue, although he suspects this only happens in cinematic situations. Afterward, Sanraku has a conversation with the monster, acknowledging that it is incredibly powerful but that its strength is intentionally programmed within it, which means it possesses a level of strength that can be easily defeated. He tells the monster that he doesn't care about the final boss or the storyline at this moment, but he will definitely defeat it someday. It's better for the monster not to let anyone defeat it before he comes to face it. The monster then disappears from his sight. We then shift to Sikandil, where we find Sanraku lying on a bed. He has awakened from his unconscious state and realizes that he has been cursed. When he opens the evaluation screen, he sees the curse of Lycagon marked on his body. It's mentioned that he can't equip any gear for the body part affected by the Lycagon's mark. He understands that he won't be able to do anything with that part of his body or leg, meaning he can't purchase any equipment for himself. Sanraku is furious, as he doesn't know how this cursed wolf appeared and bit him, causing such a curse. He also learns that this curse cannot be removed unless he goes to a certain saint to have it lifted or goes to defeat the monster and break the curse. Afterward, Sanraku sits on his bed, feeling saddened, and looks outside to see a beautiful day. He contemplates going for a walk. When people see him in the street almost naked, they are clearly uncomfortable and move away from him. Sanraku becomes angry at their reaction and decides to calm down. He reminds himself of the 3 principles he learned from the lowest ranks of the game: a strategic mind, an unbreakable spirit, and sound judgment. After this, Sanraku stands on this side to check his evaluation screen. It appears that he has gained a lot of experience from fighting the unique monster. This means his level has significantly increased, and his skills have been upgraded. He also has many points to distribute. This might be a suitable time to adjust his build. Sanraku cautiously distributes the 50 points to his skills. He only allocates 6 points to his vitality. This means he has become as fragile as a glass bottle and can shatter with the slightest impact. Sanraku is extremely frustrated because he doesn't know what to do. He can no longer utilize 2 out of the 4 shield slots, and he'll have to compensate for this by focusing on speed and endurance. He then looks at his screen again and realizes that the best statistic he has is 65 points in luck. He ponders the reason for having only 1 life point and attributes it to luck. He's faced many challenges, and there's nothing wrong with relying on luck for assistance. Suddenly, a rabbit knocks on his door, startling Sanraku. He wonders what this rabbit is doing, as it's a deadly rabbit but seems a little different. Sanraku questions whether this game allows monsters to appear in towns. The rabbit runs off, and Sanraku follows it, thinking that the outfit it's wearing is not that of an ordinary deadly rabbit. He believes he might obtain a rare item if he catches it. As he approaches the rabbit, it uses its power to open a door in the wall and enters. Sanraku realizes that it's a door leading to the land of rabbits, which he has seen in the game's official site. It's a main story centered around exploring the world, but it has numerous side quests. One of these side quests is called Unique Scenario, featuring mysterious scenarios, unknown times and locations, and secret contents. Sanraku is thrilled to have found one of the early game scenarios. He won't let this opportunity slip away. As he approaches the location, he is amazed to see many rabbits, and every time he looks, he spots deadly rabbits. He engages in a conversation with one of the rabbits, who greets him warmly, as it was eager to meet him. Rabbits, as a whole, talk about him, despite his significant personal weakness. They admire his courage in facing the Night Killer on his own and his skills in landing perfect lethal blows without taking any hits. He represents the deadly spirit. One of the rabbits wishes to be like him and leave a scratch on the Night Killer. Sanraku's presence there indicates that the Emperor of the Night does not see him as mere prey, but as a being like him. Sanraku is astounded and questions if there's no revenge for all the deadly rabbits. Amol, the rabbit he's speaking with, reassures him not to fear the leader because their leader does not care about trivial matters like revenge. They arrive at Rabitsu's palace, and Sanraku is impressed by the palace's well-crafted design. Amul tells him that many humans visit the palace, but he will be the first person to enter it. Sanraku is overjoyed to be the first because this is the only scenario he knows. However, it seems his luck has finally changed, as they arrive at the leader's location. Amul informs him that the leader has been waiting for him, the person whom the puppy injured and defeated so terribly. The leader speaks, saying that he assumed there was no hope for Sanraku, but it seems one of them is promising. The leader, who introduces himself as Vaisash, asks Sanraku if he minds giving him a little of his time. Sanraku stands there, afraid and astonished.
The episode begins in an electronic game store where several people are browsing and watching games. The store owner talks to a girl who is a fan of Senraku. She tells the girl that Hizadami is not here, but the girl is embarrassed and says she's just looking for some games. The store owner mentions that it's summer vacation, so Hizadami is probably playing the game all the time. She asks the girl if she hasn't found him yet despite all this time, and the girl explains that she was searching under the name Senraku. The store owner laughs and says that he's completely bypassed the first tutorial city, suggesting that Hizadami is deeply dedicated to gaming. The store owner tells the girl that Hizadami is an avid gamer who will do things that ordinary players won't to face unique scenarios. She encourages the girl, saying that she'll likely find him very soon and asks her to muster some effort. After finding him, she should express her feelings to him. Hearing this, the girl blushes with embarrassment. Later, we find the girl, named Hizadami Romi, telling her family that she has work to do and will be late. It seems she is a legendary character who will appear later. Meanwhile, our hero is reading instructions for the game. He mentions that the conditions to activate the Rabitsu round involve killing a monster higher in level than you using deadly weapons. After defeating the monster, a special deadly rabbit will appear in any town and invite you to Rabitsu. The rabbit will continue running without saying anything, so the hero hopes it doesn't lose its trail. When the hero reaches Rabitsu, he encounters a large snake named the Lagunian Snake. If he defeats it, he'll learn a deadly magic spell. The hero, Senraku, notes that this unique scenario is unlike the one he played yesterday. He recalls an encounter with a rabbit that resembled a very scary Yakuza boss, almost as powerful as the Lagunian Snake. The rabbit starts talking, introducing itself as the leader of Rabitsu and praises the hero for fighting the puppy fiercely. Senraku is concerned, but the rabbit offers to help him level up if he's ready. At this point, our hero realizes that this mission is a training exercise to level up, which could significantly improve his abilities. He sees no reason to refuse it and agrees to the task. The rabbit starts moving towards Senraku, who is initially terrified because the rabbit is massive. However, he is surprised when the rabbit laughs and tells him that he's genuinely impressed. The rabbit mentions that those with high potential know the name Fash, and Senraku seems shocked. The rabbit calls his son and tells him that he will leave Senraku under his care to begin his training. Then, the little rabbit named Amul speaks to Senraku, saying that he'll give him a tour of the castle. Senraku requests a short break before starting, expressing his desire to investigate the scenarios and monsters. Amul tells him that he can record his respawn point and Senraku will rely on it. Then, the massive rabbit throws a collar to our hero. Senraku is puzzled by the collar, but a screen appears, indicating that he has acquired the deadly spirit collar. Senraku is amazed that this collar can enhance the experience points he gains. He attempts to remove the collar, but the rabbit informs him that he cannot take it off unless granted permission. The rabbit stresses the importance of exceptional challenges to make the weak stronger, and Senraku becomes frustrated and expresses his dissatisfaction, mentioning another set of constraints, leaving him visibly upset. Afterward, in the real world, Senraku realizes that the deadly spirit collar multiplies his experience points by 2.5 times, making it an incredible and exceptional feature. He begins searching forums but finds no one who knows about this rabbit or the deadly spirit collar. Senriku concludes that nobody else has entered a scenario to enter Rabitsa Palace. It seems to be a unique scenario known only to him. He finds this exciting and mentions that it's time for his return. Senriku decides to play another game, one he hasn't played in a long time, and it's clear that this game has been played by someone named Rakuro. The game is known as Shanfuro, but it's considered a low-quality game with fewer than 100 daily registrations. Most of the remaining players are passionate about playing low-quality games. Senriku appears in this new game, and someone says, "This guy has finally shown up. Senriku, let's start the fight." The other player extends his hand, claiming it's a new move he invented, and launches an attack. However, Senriku expertly dodges all these attacks and defends himself impressively, proving he's a professional player. They engage in a fierce battle, and Senriku uses a rapid grip technique to dismantle his opponent's limbs. He states that the quick grip is an absolute style, capable of countering all instant fatal boss attacks without a scratch. They continue to exchange punches, leaving other players astonished by the intense fight. In the end, the other player strikes Senriku with a powerful grip, defeating him. After the fight, Katsuo, Senriku's friend, talks to him, jokingly saying he thought Senriku's message about starting the game Shanfuro was a bad joke. However, Senriku confirms that he's really immersed in the game. His friend continues to tease him, suggesting he'll encounter flying pigs, and Senriku talks about the game's challenging bosses, particularly the 7 giants, but players have only discovered the names of 4 of them. No one has defeated them since they started their service, Senriku said. At this time, players gather around them, but they are saddened because the conflict ended before their arrival. They know it's wonderful. Senriku continued by mentioning that he had slain one of the 7 giants, but he crushed it, which is why he became engrossed in this game and won't rest until he defeats that beast. So Baig told him that it's possible to start playing here in Chanfro as well. Senriku's words piqued his interest, so he decided to continue here with him. None of his real-life friends play Burb, so Senriku was very excited about that. Then, Senriku asked about the person he crushed and if they played here. Senriku answered that he didn't know, so Baig urged him to send a message informing him that he would play here until he comes to, as this is important. Indeed, Senriku sent Arthur a message that he's playing Chanfro, and he is, in fact, addicted to the games. He engaged in fierce battles with these warriors and managed to defeat all of them with his powerful strikes, making Arthur the winner of this game. After that, Senriku returned to his old game thanks to Amul. This was a simple matter for her since she played Burb for some time. Senriku felt that the characters in Chanfro were easier to move than those in his previous game. Amul told him that there are many fun places in the Rabitso Palace, with an arena, a training hall, and more. Senriku replied that he's interested in the palace and wants to take a good tour, but he wants to reach Thardrima before the crowds arrive. Amul didn't understand what he meant, but she followed him to see what he would do. Senriku told her that there's been a significant increase in players since the beginning of the summer break. The forums say that the primitive town is Varishta, so it's full of new players. This means they will encounter challenges in facilities, monster battles, mining areas, and more. He also heard that Thardrima is a very large city, so if he's going to continue in this unique scenario, he must do it from a big city with many amazing rooms. Amul was excited, even though she didn't understand his words. Since he wanted to go to the next city, she would help him with that. Amul sent him a message to join his group because he couldn't access Rabitso or the palace without her. Senriku was overjoyed when he realized that Amul wanted to join his group. He had initially thought she would just accompany him, but now he was glad that she wanted to be a part of his team. He agreed to have her join his group. Afterward, he checked her assessment screen and found that most of her stats were better than his, except for speed. He considered this a minor disadvantage and was confident that he would improve in that area soon. He thought to himself that maybe Amul could compensate for what happened to him in this game. Then, they started working together. However, When the two girls saw the cute rabbit, they were very excited. It was an adorable and friendly pet. However, they were quite annoyed because Senriku was almost naked. Senriku scolded himself for forgetting that a mole was part of a unique scenario that no one had seen before, so he wouldn't let a mole speak at all. He took her and ran away. Senriku yelled at a mole to take her and run. Then he mentioned something about his belly-talking skill. The girl asked with sadness, "I wanted to know how to tame her." Her friend had obtained a picture to ask the forums, and then they would come to this place. Senriku replied that there were no nearby players now. The mole told him that she's not suitable for all this running. Senriku looked at her in surprise, then thought to himself, "What rabbit says this? She even has the same speed stats as me." The mole asked him, "What do we do now?" Senriku answered that there's something he wants to confirm, and that is, if monsters with lower levels than the affected character will flee when they see the mark. Indeed, a bull appeared, and when it saw the mark, it became afraid and ran away quickly. The mole said, "He ran away from you, Senriku." He spoke to her, saying that the bull saw the symbol and he would chase after it as fast as possible. He also said that he wouldn't chase it without a purpose, but toward some obstacle. Just as he changed his direction, he threw a hammer in its path and attacked it as fast as he could, resulting in the bull's death. Senriku explained to a mole, extra damage from weaknesses is an additional feature, and there's a physical law that's often overlooked in the real world, but few games try to replicate it. Of course, this game simulates reality as much as possible. The mole responded, "That's amazing, Senriku. I could barely tell which one of you was the monster." He told her that with the mark, he could kill monsters at that speed or lower, and they should now head toward the area's leader. They ran as fast as they could to reach the area's leader and Thardrima afterward. At night, Senriku said, "According to the map, the area's leader is here, but it's a swamp as far as I can see." The mole was concerned about her clothes getting ruined, but Senriku explained that when they were on their way here, she mentioned that the area's leader was a monster called Mud Digger, which emerges from the ground to attack. So, it's important to find a way to immobilize it. The mole realized that the area's leader was here, and this monster emerges from the swamp. Senriku was terrified and said, "This is the worst opponent I could face."